Welcome to part 4 of our HYPR-7 video series. In this one, we're going to be looking at the display and running through some of the different icons and features that you'll see there and what they mean. We'll also be looking at how to input some of your parameters like range, wind, how to adjust the display brightness, and how to navigate some of the menu features with the inputs at your disposal. So let's get straight to it. When you look at the display, you'll see something like this. Starting on the top left, we have a battery level indicator. As mentioned in previous videos, the battery will last for days of continuous use or weeks and months of normal use if you're diligent in switching it off when you're not using it. When the battery gets really low, the display will notify you of this and it will go into emergency mode, which will still allow you to use the scope. It will just have certain features disabled to save battery. So just be diligent, keep watching that battery level indicator on the left, and when it starts to get quite low, just switch out to another AAA battery. To the right of that, we have a level. This is kind of like a bubble level for your scope. It will tell you if you canted left or right, and a dot will appear in the center when you're perfectly level. This can be recalibrated, and we'll show you how to do that in the next video when we discuss zeroing. To the right of that, we have the mode indicator icons. From left to right, elevation, brightness, and windage. These icons tell you what your input dial is set for at any given time. So right now you can see it's on brightness mode. If I turn the input dial, I can adjust the display brightness up or down, and the brightness level will be indicated on the left here as I do so. Levels range from 1 to 15. On the left-hand side of the scope, you have the mode select button. If you press this, you can cycle between your 3 input modes. When on elevation mode, you can dial in your range in meters, yards, or feet. The range will be displayed over here, and the corresponding elevation and windage will be displayed here. A flashing dot on the reticle will indicate your predicted point of impact. When you enter the range manually like this, you'll see the abbreviation MAN in front of the range. If you connect an external rangefinder and the range is obtained from there, you'll see an icon appear notifying you of this connection and the abbreviation RF in front of the range. If you want to return to your zero range, you can just hold in the mode select button and it will return to zero with the abbreviation ZR in front of the range. There's also an option to have the scope estimate the range based on the position of your parallax knob. This can be calibrated and activated in the main menu of the scope. We'll get to this a bit later, but when activated, the word focus will appear in front of the range, indicating that this is where the input is coming from. The elevation and windage display tells you what your firing solution is for whatever range is dialed in. These units are set in the Element Ballistics app. See the previous video for more info. The display will tell you what units are being used and will also tell you whether the correction being made is up, down, left, or right. Of course, you don't have to enter the solution yourself, the scope does it automatically. The HYPR-7 has a built-in inclinometer and the angle will be displayed at the top right of the screen. You can also input a crosswind, and once again you'll use the mode select button to switch to crosswind mode. Once on crosswind mode, the input dial can be used to input a wind value left or right. This value will be displayed on the left-hand side and the wind speed will be shown in whatever units you specified on the app. The ballistic calculator will factor in this wind value and display your predicted wind drift. When connected to your smartphone, an icon will indicate this too. And then of course we get to the reticle itself, the most important feature on any scope. We won't run through the actual reticle options in this video. We'll talk about that in a separate video in a lot of detail. You can of course just hold on the reticle when you want to take a shot, but there are 2 modes of displaying the predicted point of impact that you can use. You can have the HYPR-7 display a flashing dot where it predicts the bullet will land at the distance you're shooting at, or alternatively, it can shift the entire reticle for you. I personally like the flashing dot because you always get a visual reference of how far the point of impact offset is from your actual zero. But if you're in challenging light conditions and you don't want to search for a small dot, you can have the entire reticle shift. With the rangefinder connected, you are literally the push of a button away from knowing exactly where to aim. It cuts out so much time that you'd normally need to reference and then enter a firing solution. And that's what makes the HYPR-7 very unique. And then the only other digital input that you need to know about is the power button right on top. Holding this button in will switch the HYPR-7 on and off. There is no time delay when doing this. This is pretty much instant. Once the scope is on, you can access the main menu with a short press on the power button. You can then cycle through the menu items with the main dial and select the item you want with the power button. If you select profile, you can switch between the 4 profiles that you've saved on the scope. The selected profile will then be displayed over here next to the brightness. Brightness can be set from the main menu, but it is probably a little bit quicker to just do it from your home screen in brightness input mode. You can also zero your scope from the main menu if you don't have your phone with you. It's pretty quick and easy to do it from the scope. We'll run you through that in the next video. The focus range feature is very cool. It uses the position of the parallax dial to estimate the range that you are currently focused at. This can be calibrated. The HYPR-7 will ask you to focus on something at the minimum parallax distance, and then 10 meters away, then 20, then 30, etc. And you can get this pretty precise. But keep in mind that the further you go, the less precise this becomes, and you're probably going to want to use an external rangefinder past 100 yards. When not using this feature, I would highly recommend hitting disable in the menu. Otherwise, it's going to keep shifting your distance around every time you try to obtain focus. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it as far as getting to know your way around the HYPR-7. We do have the full instruction manual available as a PDF download on our website, so check that out and stay tuned for the rest of the series. In the next video, we're going to be running through how to zero the scope.